Why you procrastinate? It's not laziness. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You feel the weight of unfinished tasks pressing on your mind like a silent alarm that never stops ringing. It's not that you don't care. It's not that you're incapable. In fact, the more important the task is, the harder it seems to begin. You sit there, aware of what needs to be done, but something invisible holds you back. Hours pass. You scroll, you distract yourself, you promise you'll start in a minute. But that minute stretches into hours, then days. Deep down, a quiet frustration builds. You begin to question yourself. Why can't I just do it? Why does something so simple feel so impossible? And this is where most people get it wrong. They assume it's laziness. They label themselves as undisciplined. But what if that's not the truth at all? What if procrastination is not a character flaw, but a signal? A signal that something deeper is happening beneath the surface of your mind. Procrastination is not about time. It is about emotion. When you delay a task, you are not avoiding the task itself. You are avoiding how the task makes you feel. That feeling might be fear, uncertainty, boredom, or even self-doubt. Your brain is wired to protect you from discomfort. It seeks immediate relief, even if that relief comes at the cost of long-term progress. So instead of starting the task that feels overwhelming, your mind pushes you towards something easier. Something that gives you quick satisfaction. A short video. A scroll through social media. A distraction that feels harmless in the moment but slowly steals your time. And this is how procrastination quietly takes control. Not with force, but with subtle persuasion. Think about the last time you avoided something important. It probably wasn't because you didn't know how to do it. More likely it was because starting felt uncomfortable. Maybe the task was too big. Maybe you were afraid of doing it wrong. Maybe you felt like you weren't ready. These thoughts create resistance. And resistance is what stops action. The mind begins to negotiate with itself. I'll start later. I need to be in the right mood. I'll do it when I feel motivated. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. If you depend on motivation, you will always be at its mercy. And procrastination thrives in that uncertainty. There is a hidden pattern behind every delay. First comes the intention. You decide you want to do something. Then comes the emotional response. Doubt, fear, or discomfort appears. Then comes avoidance. You delay the task to escape that feeling. And finally, there is temporary relief. You feel better in the moment because you are no longer facing the discomfort. But that relief does not last. It is replaced by guilt, stress, and a growing sense of pressure. The longer you delay, the heavier it feels to begin. And the cycle repeats itself, over and over again. What makes this cycle dangerous is that it slowly changes how you see yourself. Each time you delay, you reinforce a belief. A belief that you are someone who does not follow through. Someone who cannot take action. And over time, that belief becomes part of your identity. You stop trusting yourself. You lower your expectations. You settle for less than what you are capable of achieving. Not because you lack ability, but because you have trained your mind to associate action with discomfort and avoidance with relief. But here is the truth that most people never realize. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to work harder. It is about learning to act despite discomfort. It is about understanding that action comes before motivation, not after. Waiting to feel ready is the biggest trap. You do not become ready by thinking about the task. You become ready by starting it, even in the smallest way. The moment you take action, something shifts. The resistance begins to fade. The task that felt overwhelming starts to feel manageable. Your mind stops fighting you and begins to focus. This is because action creates momentum. And momentum is what carries you forward when motivation disappears. The hardest part is always the beginning. Not because the task is difficult, but because your mind is resisting the discomfort associated with starting. So how do you break the cycle? You stop negotiating with your mind. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. Instead, you make a simple decision. You start before you feel ready. You lower the barrier to action. Instead of telling yourself you need to complete the entire task, you focus on the first step. Just one small action. Something so simple that it feels almost impossible to avoid. Because once you begin, the rest becomes easier. You also need to change how you respond to discomfort. Instead of seeing it as something to avoid, you learn to accept it. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are stepping outside your comfort zone. And growth only happens outside that zone. The more you train yourself to tolerate discomfort, the less power it has over you. Another key is clarity. Vague goals create confusion. And confusion leads to delay. When you are not sure what to do, your mind defaults to avoidance. But when you have a clear, specific action in front of you, it becomes easier to start. Instead of saying, "I need to work," you define exactly what that means. "I will write the first paragraph. I will spend 10 minutes on this task." Clarity removes friction. Environment also plays a powerful role. If your surroundings are filled with distractions, procrastination becomes effortless. Your brain will always choose the path of least resistance. So you need to design your environment in a way that makes action easier and distraction harder. Remove what pulls your attention away. Create a space that signals focus and intention. And then there is consistency. Discipline is not built in a single moment. It is built through repeated action. Every time you choose to start despite discomfort, you strengthen a new pattern. You prove to yourself that you can act, that you can follow through. And slowly, your identity begins to change. You no longer see yourself as someone who procrastinates. You see yourself as someone who takes action. But this transformation does not happen overnight. There will be days when you fall back into old habits. Days when the resistance feels stronger than usual. That is normal. What matters is not perfection, but persistence. Each time you catch yourself procrastinating and choose to act instead, you weaken the cycle. In the end, procrastination is not your enemy. It is a signal. A signal that something needs to change. That your approach, your mindset, or your environment is not aligned with action. When you understand this, you stop blaming yourself. And you start taking control. The discipline of action is not about being perfect. It is about showing up, even when you don't feel like it. Especially when you don't feel like it. Because that is where real progress begins. Not in comfort, but in the decision to move forward despite it. Rise as a Stoic.